Hey, everybody. My name's Jessica. I'm 19 now, and I already have a son. But he doesn't call me mommy. Actually, he calls my mom that. And I haven't seen him for several months already because she is the one who is against my visits. I got pregnant when I was 17. Of course, neither I nor my boyfriend Jacob were happy when we heard this news. Since I was underage, I had no other option but to tell my mom about everything. Even though she freaked out and yelled at me at first, she still took me to the doctor for a consultation. Of course, I was scared and worried, especially since I'd read a bunch of stuff about the procedure on the internet, and it definitely wasn't light fiction. But it was good to have my mom nearby, even though I knew she was mad at me. But then the doctor came in and said that due to some physical issues of mine, this pregnancy could be the only one for me, and that getting an abortion could bring even more complications for my health. My mom immediately rushed to the doctor and began asking her about something, but I didn't hear anything and was just sitting on the couch and feeling the tears that were running down my face. Jacob's reaction to that news was, well, my mom predicted it with 100% accuracy. He simply began saying that he was very busy whenever I called him on his cell phone. And then eventually he said that he had to leave town because of his job and disappeared from my life. You can be sure that I was inconsolable in my sobbing. And Mom never tried to make it easier for me. She just kept saying that I deserved it for my recklessness. Jacob reappeared in my life the same day that Cody was born. He brought flowers and a huge pack of diapers and said that he was sorry that it took him months to understand that the time for him to grow up had come. I don't know. I felt so calm and safe near him, and I got that image in my head that everything was going to be great for all of us. But with all those new responsibilities with the baby, the sleepless nights, and everything, I became really exhausted. And that made Jacob act irritated constantly. Long story short, one day he just packed his belongings and left. I found a job at a local mall and a nice daycare for my son so that both my mom and I could work and provide a living for the three of us. But there were other guys working with me who were the same age and who led their lives completely different from mine. They would hang out together and always tell me about their weekends by the beach and so on. And very soon, I began envying them and got this feeling that I was missing something in my life. I got home from work and all I did was change diapers, play with Cody, and read to him. And it was not because I wanted to, but because I had to. And whenever I was on the phone with my friends or trying to relax in the bath, he began crying and demanding all my attention, and that just pissed me off. It really seemed like he did everything on purpose, just to make me mad. For example, sometimes I went out with my friends at night, and my mom was okay with looking after Cody, but she wanted me to put him to sleep first. It's just, for some reason, he could only fall asleep when I was next to him. And really often, I had to lull him for a whole 2 hours, which made me really nervous. And when he finally fell asleep, I had no strength to go anywhere anymore. While on a regular evening, when I had no plans, he would fall asleep in like 10 minutes. I hated that. So I began staying late at work and telling my mom that I had additional shifts so that she would pick Cody up from daycare herself. Of course, I had fights with my mom because of that. You see, she was dating a nice man named Leo, and apparently she wanted to spend some time with him alone instead of babysitting her grandson. But I wasn't ready to sacrifice my time for her. One day, my mom just came and told me that Leo had gotten a cool job in another city, and he wanted her to go with him, and she said yes, and they were going to leave in a week. That news blew my mind. Maybe I overreacted, or it might have been a nervous breakdown or something, but when I heard that, I just dropped to the floor and began to sob. I never cried so hard in my life. I even had to use a paper bag just to breathe properly. I just imagined that I had to stay with Cody on my own for the rest of my life. Just the two of us. And that absolutely destroyed me. Since then, a hatred toward Cody was growing inside me. I didn't want to hold him in my hands or baby talk with him or anything. I had no intentions of kissing him or hugging him because I couldn't get rid of the thought that if I didn't have him, I'd be happy with a nice guy and wouldn't be alone. My mom saw everything and tried to talk to me about it a couple of times, but I had nothing to tell her. Then, right before the day of their departure, Mom entered my room to announce another decision of hers. And when I heard that she and Leo had decided to take Cody with them to that other city and leave me here on my own, my jaw literally dropped. I couldn't believe what I'd heard. I thought that finally, the thing I so badly wanted lately was about to happen, and that my life was not all that bad, and I really felt relieved. The next day, I pretended that it was sad for me that everybody left, but honestly, I wasn't even a little bit upset about it. My new life was amazing. I could hang out with my friends whenever I wanted to, and I caught up with all the new movies that I had missed. And the best part was that I finally could sleep through the whole night. Although, I must admit, there were a couple of nights when I woke up on alert because it seemed that I heard a baby crying, but it was just a dream. My mom and I called each other on Skype, and while we were talking, I felt that I missed her and Cody, but still, I like my new life much more. And then I met David. He was very caring and gentle. Every morning he drove me to my work, and every Friday we went to another cafe or restaurant, and he always brought me flowers. He knew about Cody, that he was living with my mom, but when he saw his photo at my home for the first time, he assumed that it was my little brother, and I decided to not tell him otherwise, especially taking into account that Cody was already able to pronounce a few words, and he called my mom Mommy, and he called me Jess, and I was okay with that. As soon as I understood that my relationship was becoming very serious and David suggested that the two of us live together, I could no longer lie to him about Cody. Actually, I told him almost the whole truth. I decided it would be better not to mention my behavior and put it as if it were simply better for my son to live in a whole family. I mean, with my mom and Leo. I was extremely afraid of how David would react, but to my surprise, he did something that made me fall in love with him even more. He said that since from now on we were going to live together anyway, he'd be happy if Cody lived with us. My family hadn't met David yet, so we decided that we'd go there during the coming weekend and kinda combine the two things, the meeting with parents and the reunion of Cody and I. Of course, I thought that that grown-up decision would please her and make her happy for me, but her reaction was totally unexpected. She said that she was glad that I had finally met a nice guy, but it was she and Leo who were raising Cody during all that time, so they could be fully considered his parents and that they wouldn't give me my child back. I couldn't believe that this was happening for real. At the same moment when my life was about to finally become normal and even amazing, my mom was the one who was throwing stones at me. This outraged me so much that I simply said that I'd take my son anyway and started to gather some of Cody's clothes and toys that were next to me. But my mom jumped to her feet and took everything out of my hands. She said that if I didn't stop, she'd call the police and even promised to deprive me of my parental rights. David got really angry, and I was afraid that things were going to end pretty nasty, so I just forced him to leave their house and go home. Well, I had no other options left but to tell David the truth. I mean, that it was me who didn't want to live with Cody and not my mom who separated us. He was in shock, of course, and he still doesn't understand me. But we are living together now. I do feel that this issue creates some sort of distance between us. On top of that, mom still doesn't want to talk to me, and I haven't seen Cody since all that happened a few months ago. I just hope that someday my relationship with my mom will get better and that we could become one big family, even though my son would continue to call me Jess. You can give this story a like by clicking on the corresponding button, and feel free to subscribe to this channel to see more interesting videos. Bye!